Hello Gran Turismo Sport Racers. I'm bringing you this video as a redone video showing how to simply tune the transmissions for Gran Turismo Sport. We're going to go ahead and cover all three transmission types, the 4/5-speed transmissions, the 6-speed transmissions, and the 7-speed transmissions. This is just a general tuning guide. It is not a religion guide. It's not something you need to follow 100%. Use this as your base tune and then go ahead and modify from there if you want to. I use this tuning formula for every car I tune unless it's a drift car, in which case of course you have to tune differently than you would tune for racing normal. This is not my original information or original work. Apparently this is a real-world application, although I've been told by some people who have checked with real racing teams that this does not work in real life. In the game, it does work. The original person to post this on YouTube is WhatIsThisPS Gaming. You can find him and other works by him for Gran Turismo Sport as well as other things on YouTube. This is just my rendition of it because he basically covers how to tune for rolling start only. He does show how to modify his tuning formula to work for grid start, but his general tuning formula is built specifically to do rolling start. In mine, I have basically just modified his idea just enough to make it work for both start types altogether. So you could use this for pretty much any car you want to race, and for any type of transmission and any type of race you're going to use. Like I said, with the exception of course, drifting, which this tuning just doesn't seem to work very well, at least not for me. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have chosen 3 cars to do this with, and I have already done this and put all the information down on a tablet. So I'm going to be reading a lot of this information off of a tablet to you as I show you it being done in the game itself. The 3 cars I've chosen are the 1966 Volkswagen 1200 Beetle, the Lancer Evo Final Edition GR3, and the Corvette C7 from 2014. The Beetle is a 4-speed transmission by default. So we're going to start there because we're going to cover exactly what happens with 4 speeds when you start editing them. So we'll go into the Beetle first. Here you can see we have an unmodified sheet. I went back to default on this on purpose. So we're going to go down here to the transmission settings. Now, as you can see, in the transmission settings, up in the right corner, you have the transmission gear arc. This kind of just shows you a graphical idea of what your gearing ratios look like. So we're going to use that to a degree, but not very much. So what you can see here is this is the Volkswagen Bug. It has a 4-speed transmission by default when it's set to manual transmission. However, when you modify it to the fully customized transmission, which we need to do for all the cars as we're going to modify the transmissions, it changes it to a 5-speed. This happens with every 4-speed car in the game. So we aren't going to worry about tuning 4-speed specifically because all 4-speed cars turn into 5-speed cars when you go to tune them. The first thing we want to do when we tune any car is we want to, of course, set the top speed the car is going to be able to go. With this type of tuning formula that I'm going to show you, it works best if you only modify up to 3 settings higher than the original setting. So as you can see, the original setting is 81. I almost always set 3 settings higher, which would be 99 for this Bug. We're going to go ahead and set that. In WhatIsThisPS Gaming's formula, you would modify all 5 gears. You would start with gear number 1 and you would modify it to its lowest setting on the band, so all the way to the bottom side at 1.483. Then you would go to the top gear and modify it all the way to the top of the band, so in this one would be 0.711. Then you would go ahead and set your second, third, and fourth gear. Like I said, this works great for rolling starts because you don't need the bottom gear. However, what happens if you get into a crash or an accident or something and you start at 0 miles per hour? That's why we're doing it this way. So I do not modify the first gear. I leave the first gear right where it's at. I never touch the first gear whatsoever. That leaves us with 4 gears that get modified. So there's a formula that we use to determine a multiplier that we're going to put into each one of the mathematical formulas we use for each gear in each transmission. Being that this is a 5-speed transmission and we modify 4 of those 5 gears, we base this on a 10 base system. So we're going to take 10 divided by the 4 gears that we would modify, which gives us a multiplier of 2.5. So in other words, when we start modifying at second gear, our multiplier is 2.5. As we go to third gear, it's the multiplier 2.5 times 2 because it's the second gear we're multiplying. When we go to fourth gear, we would be the multiplier 2.5 times 3 because it's the third gear we're multiplying. And then we don't use a multiplier on the last gear on the 4-speed, 5-speed transmissions, because if you're multiplying 2.5 times the fourth gear, so number 4, then you get 10, and we're using a 10 base. So 10 is full. We're not going to worry about the multiplier there. So it's a multiplier 2.5, a multiplier 5, and a multiplier 7.5. So here's how it works. As you can see at the top of the band, we are at 1.399, and at the bottom of the band, we are at 1.125. What we do is we subtract 1.125 from 1.399. That gives us as 0.274. So we take the 0.274 and we use this 10 base system that we're using. So 0.274, we divide it by 10, which gives us 0.027. Then we multiply that by our first multiplier, our second gear multiplier, which is just the base multiplier of 2.5. We get 0.069. So again, to recap that's the difference between the two gear ratios divided by 10, and then multiply that division by the multiplier 2.5, which gives us 0.069. So then what we do is we take that 0.069 and we add it to the bottom number, 1.125. That gives us a number of 1.194. So we're going to go ahead and slide down to 1.194. There's our second gear's starting point. Now I say starting point because we are going to come back and re-modify the second gear sum in order to work with grid starts and when you crash and have to start from 0 miles an hour. But for now, that's the base. That's where we start. Now we go up to third gear. Third gear in a 5-speed transmission has the multiplier of 5 because it's the second gear. 2 times the original base multiplier of 2.5 is 5. So we'll keep that in mind. Our second gear's top band is 1.071 and the bottom band number is 0.891. So we subtract the 2 and we get 0.18. We divide that by 10, giving us 0.018. We then multiply that by the new modifier for third gear, which is 5, and we get 0.09. So then we go ahead and we add 0.09 to 0.891, the bottom band number, which gives us 0.981. So let's go ahead and slide up to 0.981. There we go. We have our third gear. Now you'll notice that on most transmissions, the middle gear is going to be almost exactly the middle notch. Amazing how that works. And people say this isn't real world application, so I don't know, but it looks kind of funny. Anyway, here we go on to fourth gear. Fourth gear has a top band of 0.855 and a bottom band of 0.735. Subtract the two of those, we get a number of 0.12. Then we go ahead and divide that by 10, giving us 0.012. And we multiply that by the multiplier modifier number on fourth gear in a 5-gear system, which is 7.5, giving us 0.09. Add 0.09 to the bottom of the band, 0.735, which gives us 0.825. Let's go ahead and slide up to 0.825. Ding, there you go. As we said, we're putting the top gear to top all the way up. Now, when you look up at the arc in the upper right corner, up there where it says 3800 RPM, you can barely see it on this one, but it's visible. gear number 2. Gear number 1 is the longest one. Gear number 2 is next to that. Gear number 3 is next to that, all the way up to gear number 5. Gear number 2, the space at the very top of the little picture, the little graph, shows that gear number 2 is farther away from gear number 1 than it is from gear number 3. There's not an exact split down the middle for that. That's what we want to modify. So, go back to gear number 2, and in order to correct that, we're going to do it visually because I don't have a specific mathematical equation to make it work. We're going to do it visually, so we just start sliding. Now I did this before and my number came out to be about 1.220. I'm going to put it back at 1.220 because that looks just about even for me. You can change this, go out and test the car, see if that gear works for you. If that doesn't work for you, modify it up and down as you see fit. There's no point in leaving it exactly that way if you don't need to. That's my preference. I put it that way because in most cases it's gonna work good. It's not gonna work great for everybody, but it works good for me. So here you can see we now have a nice equal mark all the way across the top. Every margin seems to be about the same distance apart. It looks really good that way. Gear ratio appears to be even. All the gears appears to be right. If you decide after this you want to make general changes to top speed or acceleration, here's where you do it. This is the easy way. Just change the final gear. That way you don't have to go back and modify each gear specifically. You can simply just change the final gear. And all you have to do is slide it up for more acceleration and down for more maximum speed. So that's all you do. No big deal. I usually leave mine about stock to start with, and I go out and I test the car a few times to see what happens. If I need it one way or the other, a little more torque or a little more top speed, then I just change it as needed. Once I've changed all that, all you gotta do now is go to the top and save your sheet. Now I save my sheet specifically based on the top speed tune number. That way I know if I ever have another sheet built for this car, that this is the one that I tuned specifically with this formula. So this is my method. Tuned at the top speed miles per hour. That's all I do. That's how I know that car on that sheet has been properly tuned according to my specifications, the way I like to tune it. And that's the 4 and 5 speed transmissions. Remember, that works on every 4 and 5 speed transmission, as long as you're not drifting. I imagine it works that way just fine for dirt. I don't usually race the dirt tracks very much, and I haven't done much tuning on them. I have raced a tuned car with this formula on dirt tracks. It seems to work fine. Some people may not think so. If not, then don't use this for that. But this is great for road racing for sure, and it's a great place to start. So that's how that works. Let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to jump back out here. We're going to go ahead and jump to the Lancer Evo Final Edition GR3 car. This is a 6-speed transmission. So now we're going to deal with how you deal with the 6-speed, or we're going to deal with how you tune a 6-speed by basics. So as you can see, we have no transmission settings done so far. This is a stock transmission. It has 6 gears. It stays 6 gears when you modify to the fully customized transmission. Don't worry about that. In a 6-speed transmission, so the multipliers work a little bit different than the 5-speed. So basically you're still doing the 10 base system. So it's 10 base based on, we never change the first gear, or I don't change the first gear anyway. We only change 2nd through 6. That's 5 gears. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. So our multiplier starts at 2. 2 for 2nd gear, 2 times 2 for 3rd gear, 2 times 3 for 4th gear, 2 times 4 for 5th gear, and of course 2 times 5, or not touching it at all, for 6th gear. So we go ahead and set the top speed. It starts at 124. We're going to put it up to 143. We're going to go down to 6th gear, and we're going to raise that all the way up. You can do this at the end or at the beginning. It doesn't matter. I usually do it at the beginning so I don't forget it later, because I don't modify based on a mathematical formula for the last gear. And we're going to go away. We leave 1st gear alone. 1st gear stays where it's put. Then we start with 2nd gear. Top of the band, 2.854. Bottom of the band, 2.297. Subtracting the 2 gives us 0.557. 0.557 divided by 10 gives us a rounded multiplier, a rounded number of 0.056. Always round, because obviously you can only go out to the maximum of the thousandths spot, so tenths, hundredths, thousandths spot on your gear ratios. So you always round to the nearest thousandth. So then we rounded to 0.056. We multiply that by our first multiplier, our second gear multiplier, which is 2, which gives us a total of 0.112. And then we go ahead and we add 0.112 to 2.297, the bottom number down there, which gives us 2.409. So we'll go ahead and slide down 2.409. Second gear is, the tuning on second gear has been completed. However, it's not done. Remember, we're going to slide that some more to visually adjust the spacing. So we'll move to third gear. Third gear, 2.191 minus 1.843, top number minus the bottom number, gives us 0.348. Divide that by 10, giving us 0.035 when rounded. And then, of course, we multiply that by the third gear multiplier, which is 4, and that gives us 0.14. Add 0.14 to the bottom band of 0.843, and we get 1.983. Okay, so there's our third gear. Fourth gear. Fourth gear's top is 1.774 minus the bottom 1.546 gives us 0.228. 0.228 divided by 10 is 0.023 when it's rounded. 0.023 times 6 gives us 0.138. 0.138 added to the bottom band number 1.546 gives us 1.694. Excuse me for just 1 second. I seem to be missing my glasses. If I get any of these numbers wrong, oh no, never mind. Here we go. I found them. I'll say if I get any of them wrong, I'm sorry about that. I just realized I was doing all this without my glasses. So, okay, 0.138 plus 1.546 gives us 1694, 1.694. So we're going to go ahead and slide up to 1.694. There we go, fourth gear is done. Now we move to the last gear. We're going to go ahead and adjust by the formula. Gear number 5. Gear number 5's multiplier, remember, is 8 on the 6-speed transmission. So we got 1.501 minus 1.355, top minus bottom, gives us 0.146. 0.146 divided by 10 is 0.015. 0.015 multiplied by the multiplier, 8 equals 0.12, and we add that to the bottom number 1.355. That gives us 1.475. Go ahead and slide to 1.475. Fifth gear is done. As you can see, everything looks pretty decent, but up there at the graph at the top, you can see that second gear is slid a little closer to third gear than it is to second gear. I've done this one in advance also. I got a number of 2.472. We're going to go ahead and slide this up to 2.472 so I can show you that by doing so, you're putting it visually somewhere very close to the middle in the arc up above. So first gear's top and second gear's top, and the difference between second gear and third gear's top look to be equally the same. Second gear appears to be directly in the middle of first and third. That's how that works. We tune it to 143. I'm going to go ahead and slide up here to the top, and to make sure I know exactly which tuning sheet this is, it's tuned to 143 miles per hour. As you can see, I've done this already. There we go. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evo Final Edition GR3 is done. Now we move on. 7-speed transmissions. The only difference on the 7-speed transmissions really is the modifier that we use and the fact that we're tuning another gear. So let's go ahead and get into it. 7-speed gears. As you can see, we're starting off stock. Everything is normal. We have 7 gears. It does not change to another gear number once we modify. Going to go ahead and set to fully customized. We start at 236. I'm going to put it up to 255. 3 notches up. Okay. First gear stays as number as it is. 7th gear, we go ahead and modify all the way up to the top, 0.627. And we're going to go down to second gear. We're going to start our first modification to second gear. 1.855 minus 1.395 equals 0.46. So we go ahead and divide that by 10, giving us 0.046, and then multiply it by our modifiers for 7-speed transmission. Now, So since we're dealing with 6 modifiable gears, or 6 gears that we modify, when we divide 10 by 6, we get 1.67. So that's going to be our base modifier number. So on the second gear, we multiply that 0.046 by the 1.67 multiplier. We get 0.077. 0.077 plus the 1395, the 1.395 at the bottom end of the band, gives us 1.472. We're going to go ahead and slide to 1.472. There's our starting point for gear number 2. Gear number 3. Multiplier for gear number 3 is 1.67 times 2 because we're working on the second gear that we would modify. That gives us a multiplier number of 3.34. So here we go. Top of the band 1.317 minus the bottom of the band 1.067 equals 0.256, which we divide by 10. And that gives us, of course, 0.026 when rounded. 0.026 times the multiplier, 3.34, equals 0.087, and we add that to the bottom number 1.061, which gives us 1.148. So we slide to 1.148. I do believe that fourth gear is going to be the one that rests right in the middle, so watch for that. Fourth gear. Top of the band 1.011 minus the bottom of the band 0.850 gives us 0.161. Divided by 10, 0.016. Times it by the multiplier for fourth gear, which is 1.67 times 3, which gives us 5.01. We get a product of 0.081, which we add to the bottom of the band 0.850, giving us 0.931. Go ahead and slide to the middle. Guess what's at the middle? 0.931. Okay? Then we move on to fifth gear. Top of the band 0.818 minus the bottom of the band 0.717 gives us a total of 0.101. We multiply by 10, giving us 0.01. We go ahead and multiply that by the multiplier for gear number 5, which is 6.68, giving us 0.067, which we add to the bottom number 0.717, and we get 0.784. So go ahead and slide up to 0.784. Gear number 6. The last gear that we're going to modify using the formula on a 7-speed transmission. Top of the gear 0.698, bottom of the gear 0.638 equals 0.06 when subtracted. Divide that by 10, 0.006. Multiply that by the 6th gear modifier, or the 6th gear multiplier number, which is 8.35. Remember, that is 5 times 1.67. The 5th gear we are modifying times 1.67, the base modifier number, gives us 8.35. So 0.006 times 8.35 equals 0.051. 0.051 added to the bottom number 0.638 gives us 0.681. Up we go, 0.681. There we go, modified. Go back up here, as you can see by the arc picture at the top, second gear is a little bit closer to third than it is to first. We're going to go ahead and modify that. I did this one in advance too. I got 1.529. We're going to slide up to 1.529 just so that we can see that it's visually in the middle. May not be perfect, but it is close. Go ahead and save that. We tuned it to 255. Going to go ahead and go up here and save the sheet, rename the sheet as tuned 255 miles per hour, and we are done. That's how you modify the 7th gear. So now you've seen, you modify each of them that way and you will get a really good place to start tuning, if not the place that you will rest final on tuning. So there you go, you have it. 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear. I do want to thank WhatIsThisPS Gaming on YouTube for his basic information that I used to modify his formula slightly in order to create this tuning that I use now. And I'm happy to share this with you. I hope to see you guys out there, and I hope you guys enjoy this tuning. If you find any modifications that seem to work for you based on this tuning formula, please post them in the comments for the below on the video. And thanks for watching.